So, this global pandemic has thrust us all into this work from home model, and as a result, the balancing act is needed now more than ever. So, to help us with this, I'd like to introduce Bindiya Murgai, who is a mental fitness and digital detox coach, in order to give us some pointers on how to balance our life during these really uncertain times.
I know you may be thinking that is work-life balance really possible, especially when you're working from home? And the simple answer is yes, it absolutely is. But we need to take a step back. We need to recalibrate our lives and we have to create this balance. It doesn't happen on its own. But the good news is that it's doable without actually burning ourselves out. But we need to stay calm, we need to stay disciplined, and we have to cultivate resilience. All we need to start from is by redefining some boundaries for ourselves and to readjust some of our sails. And that's what we're here to talk about today.
So the first question that I wanted to kind of ask to Bindia and to start off this conversation is I think Bindia has been working home from home for quite a bit now. And I wanted you, Bindia, to just tell us a little bit about your experience, how you started working from home, and
Mhm.
how it also has changed during this pandemic when, suddenly everybody is working from home as well.
The key to working successfully from home is really creating boundaries of several kinds. It's about having a schedule and having a routine and announcing it to people you share your home with, as well as people outside in your personal life, because that then creates the first layer by making them know that, okay, from 9 to 6 or 7 or whatever it is, it's not time for personal calls, it's not time for personal stuff. And even for people at home, once you define a schedule and tell them, okay, these many hours I'm not available, but I take a break, I come out at such and such time, so whatever's needed, hold on till then unless it's an emergency. Once you start defining that, people start taking it more seriously and they start understanding that just because you're working from home doesn't mean that they can just come in and out, pull you out for anything at their own whim, at their own timing.
I think you ran through a little bit of it, but if you could just go through again, just really quickly, some of the mistakes that we make while working from home and how you have made them and how you learn from them and now have changed.
Well, I think in terms of the mistakes, one is, like I said, it's about drawing boundaries by having a schedule for yourself, by making sure that you're addressing the distractions that may come up before time. So, for instance, if you have a noisy home environment, then it's very important that maybe you just invest in some noise reduction earphones. So I think when it comes to distractions, we also need to focus a little and see one by one that what are these distractions which are there in our environment. And we can't remove the distractions, but how can we find ways to deal with them better?
And so now, do you want to kind of explain a little bit some more detailed kind of tactics that we can use, Bindia, now to kind of separate our work and leisure time during this pandemic and work from home?
Yeah, it's a very important. Earlier, we had a concept of weekends. We had holidays we'd look forward to, we'd make plans for them. Now, none of that exists. Every day is as good or bad, or not a weekend or a work day, because days are just rolling by. Sometimes we don't even know what day it really is. So, to begin with, point one is that decide what time you turn off. There has to be a time to turn off, because even when you were working at office, there was a time when you got up and left. There may have been some odd days when you worked late because there was an urgent deadline, but more or less you would get up and leave at 6, 7, 8, whatever time it may be. Similarly, share that timing with your teammates, share it with whoever you're reporting to your manager. Tell them that I'm working these many hours from this time to this time, but at this time I will be logging out. There's an emergency contact number, but it's only for emergencies if you need me. And otherwise, I'm switching off and my device is off and out I go. Try to have some me time. Now, 2 to 3 hours, if you can even allot at a go to yourself in a week, let's say on a Saturday or a Sunday, if you tell everyone, please don't disturb me from this time to this time because this time is just for me. Have that time to just reboot and do anything or nothing. So have that marked out and also have that literally scheduled. Some people say, how can I schedule leisure time? But in these days, you have to schedule everything. Otherwise, the boundaries will just stay really, really blurred.
So, in your opinion, what is the most important change that we should all make to our routines and our habits in order to be more effective, especially during this time?
You need to focus on your health by making sure that no matter how sedentary your job is, no matter how small your living space is, that you create time to exercise. And also focus on your mental health because that's very important at such a time. When it comes to your mental health, a very good practice to do, if nothing else, just start by introducing some deep breathing into your life. The truth is, it resets your system.
What are some important lessons or habits that we can adopt today that will also translate well into our lives in the post pandemic scenario?
It's very important right now that we all consciously try to become more resilient, more creative, and more adaptable. Because those are the three things that are going to see us through not only this time of COVID 19, but those are things which we can use for our life going ahead in any situation. And you also distribute these tasks in times where, so the first most important one should ideally happen first thing in the morning when you're freshest and most agile. Keep the other five ones spread through the day at times when your energy is a bit low, so they can happen at that time. So plan and keep getting things off your to-do list so that the stress doesn't build up, because a lot of time procrastination leads to very high stress levels.
Spending so much time at home, we're always on our devices, as we said. Um, and how can we really draw healthier boundaries with technology and practice, digital hygiene? Because I think technology and, entertainment through Netflix and Amazon and Hulu or whatever, that's really, something that, kind of like gets the balancing act out of out of whack. So um, just to kind of round out this program, can you
Yeah.
give us some advice on that front?
Earlier, if we had two pillars of health, which were mental and physical, now we have three pillars of health, which is mental, physical, and digital, because technology has become such a huge, huge part of our life and is starting to have such a big impact on our health. But there are a few ground rules which I would suggest you try to embrace and get into the fold of your life, which would be really, really helpful. So let's start with, first and foremost, defining a few hours which are completely gadget free. If you define an hour a day which is tech free, that's really, really good. The other thing is that try to find offline activities which work for you. Don't make everything an online activity. So right now, our phone is the begin and end all of almost everything. We set the alarm, we listen to music, we watch stuff on it, we work or through our phone. Everything happens there. So constantly alerts are coming, and everything has become like one melted pot of lots and lots of stimulus. So if you can get a separate alarm clock, if you can get a separate device, so if you're unwinding and listening to music, you can hear it on that instead of your phone also pinging away in the middle. It's a good thing to segregate those devices. What you can do is that 30 minutes before you sleep, at least 30 minutes, ideally it should be an hour, but at least 30 minutes before you sleep, put all devices off, because the light that emanates from our screens also impacts our sleep pattern. I would like to leave everyone with one last thought before we sign off, which is that I don't know how many people know that Shakespeare wrote some of his best work when he was in lockdown during the bubonic plague. So the lesson for us to learn from here is that yes, we don't all have to be Shakespeare, but great things can come out of crisis. So don't just focus on the negative, focus on the positives. And remember that this too will pass. It's not going to be here forever. And as a civilization, we're very resilient. We're going to get through this. So just hang in there, define your boundaries, look at life a little more differently with a little more ease, and we'll all get past this together.